Hello my Poké Darlings, I'm in a bit of a different room than usual when I'm speaking to you, usually because I have card openings or something and I'm in a studio, but today I am in a kitchen, and the reason for that is because I have something I'm really stoked to share, something that I came up with while I was opening cards for the last celebrations video and thought I would experiment and try it on film with all of you. I have no idea how this is going to go. This is the first time that I've worked on this, so it's trial by error, and because I don't really know what to do and I haven't done it, I don't necessarily have the best way of doing it. So at the end of the video I will give some tips and tricks on things that I've learned that I wish I would have done differently, so that if you choose to do this you can follow along. So I don't want to give away too much, but just so that you have an idea of what you're about to watch, I was hoping to make some celebrations chocolates using the plastic inserts of the celebration packaging. From my guess, what it is that we will need at a first try basis are the molds from celebrations, some white chocolate, some dye if you're interested in, and some extra molds, since we'll probably need to melt more chocolates than we actually have of space. So for the purpose of this video, I am going to speed up some certain sections, but I will try my best to be as detailed in what it is that I'm doing. So let's get into it. The first thing I did for prep that I didn't show on screen is I cut out all of the sections on the plastic that I thought could be a mold. So right here I cut out the Pikachu. I also cut out this end piece that has little Pikachus in it that looks more like a bar. And as you can see, I had to fill in some holes using some foil paper, which means I'm already running into some issues. For this one that has a lot less edges, I folded some more foil paper to make somewhat of a wall barrier so that when the chocolate sets, it's not making a mess and it's going within the mold. I would suggest, and I don't have any on hand, to probably use packing tape. That way you can build some walls and make something that's a lot more sturdy. So now that our prep is done, we can go straight to the stove and begin melting our chocolate. The chocolate that I got was white, so that way it's easy to add any color dyes that you would wish, so that you can be creative on what color you want your molds to be. If you want to follow someone who really understands how to do all of this, I do recommend checking out How Do You Make That with Anne, who is brilliant and has taught me many tips and tricks and debunking some myths. But I will say that also one of the most important things too is also making sure that you pick the right chocolate. Not every chocolate will melt. This specific molding chocolate, so it's made for these types of projects, but if you're gonna just put a chocolate bar, your pieces are probably gonna be too big and you wanna make them nice and thin so that everything melts the same, but also the ingredients will change the consistencies and how much heat it can actually absorb. So this is just from Bulk Barn. It's a very specific chocolate for this type of project. And as you see, I've probably put a cup of chocolate max, because if I do mess up, I'm gonna have to try again, and I only have so much chocolate. So this is the beginning stage of the chocolate. As you can see, it's already melting pretty equally, and it's only on 4 right now, and that's because this chocolate is designated for this type of project, so it is going to melt nicely and consistently. Let me know in the comments what your favorite type of chocolate is, because I love white chocolate, and there's so much you can do with white chocolate, but I know there's some die-hard milk chocolate fans out there, so let me know. Now you may feel the desire to stir your chocolate while you're making it. This again will add to the fouette kind of bubbly type texture rather than liquid, so avoid that. And also don't add liquid unless you add the liquid first and then add the chocolate after, because again that could cause some of those consistency problems. The other thing is once everything's melted, take it off directly right after and let it completely harden before trying to melt it again, because then it'll burn, which is the problem I had before. So this is the second batch of chocolate that I'm trying, and hopefully this one works out. All right, folks. So I completely didn't record the audio for this component of the project. So let me go through really, really quickly. So I am mixing up the chocolate with the food coloring. And because I didn't have anything on hand, I used a bobby pin. Don't use a bobby pin. I promise it was clean. But that is what I'm going to use to decorate with. So I'm mixing, adding color. So here's the red for the 25. Look at me, I'm having so much fun. Everything's sped up much quicker. I'm getting more pigmented. I'm getting more of a red pigment. And I'm getting tired right now. My arms are getting tired. And as I move forward, I'm about to put my red, adding more red, because it's not pigmented and this takes a lot of time. Apparently, mixing red takes a lot of time. All right, so I started inputting the red with my bobby pin into the 25 folds of the mold and trying very, very hard to do this in much detail as possible, but using a bobby pin is really, really, really hard. So do not recommend. Now I am filling in the molds again and again, and oddly you can't see this, so all you see is the top of my head. Ooh, it tastes like chocolate. Yummy. And I'm done with the red. So now I'm going to put in the yellow. And the yellow should just pour right into the molds on top of the red. Look at that smooth pour. That is not Pikachu yellow. What am I thinking? This is not an appropriate color for this event. And I'm pouring some more because obviously I have more than one mold. And it's taking a while. This is sped up, everybody. This is sped up, so this is quite the long process. My hands are full of chocolate and full of red coloring, and I'm putting it in the fridge. All right, fam, so I tried a couple extra things, and one of them was to melt the chocolate in a pan because I didn't have as much. So this chocolate actually turned out perfectly. I also put a thin layer of oil first, so I will add that to the tips and tricks section of this video, but I am now just putting the chocolate in the little bowl I was using for the yellow. Oh, this is beautiful chocolate. And I actually put a lot more yellow, so it's gonna be brighter. I think third time's a charm here. I think I've figured out the formula. Yeah, that's some Pikachu yellow. Okay, so the last mold I have left is this one, which hopefully it works because this is a full-on chocolate bar. Pour this straight into this mold. It must be pretty cold in my house because this is setting like nobody's business. If I had a better studio, this would be much nicer. Okay, and then the final tap, you just want to tap it out a little bit so that it straightens out. I think this one's going to work out well. So I'm just going to put this in the fridge and let them sit for a few minutes, check on them, and then come back to you with the results. Okay, so it's been about an hour. I had the chocolate molds in the fridge. I then put them in the freezer because they were not setting very quickly. So it sped up the time a little bit, but I'm ready for the final reveal. So here they are in their molds. Let's have a look. Now you can see the color difference and how these ones are so not well mixed, but this one's looking quite good. So I'm gonna try to take out one of these Pikachus first. And it just pops right out. And there you have it, folks. Our first chocolate celebrations mold. I wish it was a little bit more around the actual Pikachu, but you can see that it's actually quite a clean cut. And the 25 is not the best. I'd probably paint it over at the end, but alas, this was our first try. All right, so I'm doing this with one hand, so let's try not to break them here. Ooh, that just popped right out again. And here we are. This one looks so much better. Check out that 25 detail. As much as I see that the colors are not the greatest, the swirls kind of give it an extra little bit to it. So these are the 225s. This one, as you can see, was a different mold because it was from a different box, so it bled through here. This one's far better cut, but this one has the ear, and it's quite thick enough that the ear actually didn't break. So some tips I'd like to let you know in case I were to ever do this again, or if you want to try it after this video, is first of all, prepare your space. Make sure that all of your molds have been cut out, that everything is really easy and accessible. The second is to use something more sturdy than foil, perhaps some type of packing tape, or yeah, maybe tape the foil in place. It just was moving around and wasn't very useful and helpful. In terms of melting the chocolate, put it in a pan if you don't have a lot of chocolate, and do a quick layer of warmed oil first. It'll be much easier for the chocolate to melt evenly. At the beginning of the video, I used a spoon. I don't recommend using a spoon. Use a spatula instead. It also really helped the process. Avoid stirring when you're melting your chocolate, and don't add any liquid after the chocolate is in the heating source, the pan or the pot. In terms of decorating, don't use a bobby pin. You can use a toothpick or any type of decorating device that you may find at a decorating store. And I put the red on first and thought I was going to set it on top, which I don't know if that was the best idea. If you have the capacity to melt some extra chocolate in the end, I would probably just take the set chocolate out of the mold and draw straight on that chocolate for that detail, because that way you don't have to worry about the colors mixing and fading into one another. And also, because they're not actually chocolate molds, the difference in lines are not that deep, which means that most likely you're not going to see the 25 in your final product. So that's everything I have for you today. I think it was more of a mess than it was necessarily informative or useful, but just thought if you wanted a weekend project and you have some celebration box hanging around, cut them up, use them for things, maybe beyond just holding cards. I don't know, but maybe this isn't the most efficient use of the boxes, but I did have fun. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again soon.